GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon. The mayor is set to outline Montreal's priorities ahead of the Quebec election, while 2 Air Canada workers were arrested in an RCMP drug probe at Dorval. Traffic is moderate with tunnel closures, and Good Food's creditor protection highlights local business challenges. Over to you, Jeff.
Schwartz's Deli in Montreal stopped serving hot soda after new U.S. tariffs were imposed, and this week began offering a locally produced cola as its primary soft drink.
The replacement beverage, a Quebec-crafted cola from La Couleur, is now on tap at Schwartz, marking the first menu change since the deli's 1934 founding.
The shift reflects a broader trend among Montreal restaurants to source beverages locally amid trade disruptions, with several establishments reporting similar menu adjustments this month.
We've got a lot to cover this afternoon, from community updates to the latest happenings, so without further delay, let's get started. Here are our top stories.
Mayor Valérie Plante will outline Montreal's priority initiatives this week, positioning the city ahead of the upcoming Quebec provincial election later in the year. The briefing comes as voters prepare for the vote. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Mayor Valérie Plante will lay out Montreal's top initiatives in a briefing today, focusing on the projects the city wants to push forward before the provincial election later this year. The session, scheduled for August 26, 2026, comes as Quebec gears up for a vote that could reshape the political landscape. Officials say the outline will cover the key areas the administration believes will benefit residents and strengthen the city's profile ahead of the campaign. The briefing is being held at City Hall. The timing aims to position Montreal as a partner in the province's electoral discourse. With Quebec preparing for a provincial election later in 2026, leaders hope the outline will signal readiness and clarity on priorities. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
2 Air Canada employees have been arrested in a Royal Canadian Mounted Police drug investigation, with search warrants executed at 2 homes, a vehicle, and their Dorval work base. The probe remains ongoing. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
2 Air Canada employees were taken into custody Thursday as part of a Canadian Mounted Police drug investigation centered on Montreal Trudeau Airport. Officers executed search warrants at 2 residences in the Greater Montreal area, seized a vehicle parked near the airport, and swept the employees' work base in Dorval. Both workers were arrested at airport facility and are being held while the probe continues. The RCMP said the arrests are linked to a narcotics inquiry that has expanded to sites across the region. No further details about the charges have been released at this time. The operation began this week after investigators received a tip about drug trafficking involving airline staff. Authorities are reviewing surveillance footage and employee records to determine scope of alleged network. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Dorval.
An IT incident has taken the Commission de la Construction du Québec's online portal and phone lines offline, disrupting digital and telephone support for construction workers and employers across Quebec. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
An information technology incident has knocked out the Commission de la Construction du Québec's online portal and telephone lines, leaving both workers and employers without the usual digital and phone support. The outage began Monday, August 24, and system administrators say a computer failure triggered the shutdown. As the CCQ services remain offline, contractors cannot access payroll records, training schedules, or safety certifications through the website, and phone operators are unable to answer calls for assistance. The agency is working to restore connectivity, but no timeline has been given for when full service will resume. Officials have asked users to check the CCQ's social media channels for updates. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Cycling and pedestrian groups in Quebec are urging party leaders to adopt a heavy vehicle risk index, citing an almost 40% accident reduction in cities like London. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Vélo Quebec and Piétons Quebec are pressing party leaders to embed a new heavy vehicle risk index into policy, aiming to curb the rising number of crashes involving trucks, cyclists, and pedestrians. Advocates point to data from cities like London, where the index helped achieve an almost 40% drop in such accidents. In Quebec, recent collisions between large trucks and vulnerable road users have sparked safety concerns, prompting the groups to argue that a standardized risk rating could guide drivers and planners towards safer routes. They say the measure would give municipalities a clear tool to prioritize infrastructure upgrades and enforce stricter speed limits for heavy vehicles. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Hydro-Quebec says a 27-year-old tree trimmer died after touching a low-voltage line during work in Montreal. The incident is under investigation. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
At a construction site in Montreal today, a 27-year-old tree trimmer was fatally injured after his equipment brushed a low-voltage Hydro-Quebec distribution line. Witnesses said the man was climbing a utility pole when the line made contact, sending a sudden electric shock through his body. Co-workers immediately called emergency services, but paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Hydro-Quebec officials arrived shortly after to secure the area and begin an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the contact. The utility confirmed the line was part of its standard low-voltage network that supplies power to neighborhoods throughout the city. No other workers were harmed in the incident. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Later we'll see why Schwartz's Deli dropped Cot Soda for a local cola after new tariffs and what that means. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Schwartz's Deli in Montreal has discontinued Cot's Black Cherry Soda after recent U.S. tariffs blocked imports, replacing it with a locally produced cola. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The deli has pulled Cot's Black Cherry Soda from its menu after a new set of tariffs introduced by the Trump administration on imported beverages made the product unavailable. With the supply line cut, the shop turned to a locally produced cola, now on tap alongside its famous smoked meat sandwiches. Customers who were used to the cherry-flavored soda are being offered the new cola as a replacement, and staff say the switch was necessary to keep the beverage service running without price spikes. The change comes as the deli adapts to the broader trade measures that have hit a range of imported goods. Managers expect the new cola to stay on the menu for the foreseeable future. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Mile End.
An Auditor General report finds Montreal still sending most waste to landfills, falling short of its 15% diversion target with less than 4 years left before the 2030 deadline. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
An Auditor General review released today shows that the majority of Montreal's trash continues to end up in landfills, far short of the city's ambition to limit landfill waste to 15% by 2030. The report, covering the latest waste management data, finds that current landfill rates remain well above the target, leaving less than 4 years to close the gap. City officials say the diversion goal was set to cut landfill contributions dramatically, but the audit points to persistent shortfalls across the system. Residents voiced concern as the findings suggest more effort will be needed to reroute waste toward recycling and compost streams before the deadline approaches. The city has pledged to intensify its programs, though concrete steps were not detailed in the document. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Montreal.
42 major roadwork projects are slated to begin across Greater Montreal this autumn, promising widespread lane closures and significant congestion for commuters. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
42 major construction projects are set to break ground across the Greater Montreal region this fall, turning many familiar routes into slow-moving work zones. Drivers can expect lane closures, detours, and reduced speed limits on arterial streets from the east end through the downtown core and out toward the suburbs. The coordinated effort, slated to run through the autumn months, targets aging bridges, resurfacing of key highways, and upgrades to municipal utilities. Commuters are being warned of longer travel times, especially during peak rush hours, as crews work around the clock to keep traffic flowing. Motorists are urged to check real-time traffic updates and plan alternate routes where possible. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. 21 North Shore mayors signed a mobility pact this August urging stronger public transit and reduced car dependence, aiming to influence provincial policy ahead of the election. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
21 mayors from municipalities across Montreal's North Shore gathered this month to sign a mobility pact aimed at strengthening public transit and curbing car dependence. The agreement calls on provincial leaders to expand bus and train services, improve frequency, and invest in infrastructure that makes alternatives to driving more viable for residents. Officials noted that previous attempts to raise transit issues have fallen short, and they see the upcoming provincial election as a pivotal moment to push for policy change. By uniting their voices, the mayors hope to secure funding and legislative support that will deliver faster, more reliable connections between the North Shore and downtown Montreal. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Laval.
Culture Montreal has asked the Quebec government to allocate 3% of the provincial budget to the arts, presenting 37 recommendations aimed at strengthening funding for the cultural sector. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
At City Hall this morning, Culture Montreal handed over a dossier of 37 recommendations, urging the incoming Quebec administration to set aside 3% of the provincial budget for the cultural sector. The group says the allocation would shore up funding for theaters, museums, festivals, and community arts groups that have faced cuts in recent years. Officials from the organization emphasized that a modest share of the overall budget could sustain jobs and keep Montreal's vibrant creative scene thriving. The firm request arrives as the new government begins drafting its fiscal plan, and city leaders are expected to review the proposals in the coming weeks. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, Montreal. Now let's turn to the forecast and see what weather's in store for this afternoon.
A westward jet stream and a pressure trough slipping south set the stage for today's clear, modest warmth. On this date, Montreal's all-time heat peaked at 33.1 Celsius back in 2021, a blistering spike that rode the tail end of an unprecedented summer heat wave across the province. The coldest reading fell to 9.3 Celsius in 2017, when an early autumn Arctic blast slammed the city with Arctic air far earlier than usual. By contrast, the climatological August average hovers around 27 for the high and 18 for the low, so today's 22 to 25 degree range sits comfortably between those extremes. The live radar shows a blank canvas across southern Quebec, no rain echoes from the southwest, nor any lingering echoes from the north. With the jet stream blasting westward at 70 kilometers per hour aloft, the air mass over Montreal remains locked under a shallow ridge of high pressure, keeping moisture locked out. Expect the clear sky to persist through the afternoon, with any stray showers unlikely to reach the city. At noon, the thermometer reads 20 degrees Celsius under a cloudless dome, humidity holding steady at 82%, and a gentle southwest breeze at 8 kilometers per hour. The surface sits under near-average pressure that is easing lower, a sign that the ridge is beginning to wobble and unsettled conditions may creep in later. Aloft, the jet stream races west at 70 kilometers per hour, its fast lane carving a trough to our south that will eventually drag cooler air northward. For now, the ridge supplies abundant sunshine and a UV index of 5, while temperatures climb to 24 by mid-afternoon before dipping to 23 as the sun sets. No weather alerts are in force. With the day stabilizing, let's glance at the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Thursday continues the warm spell with a high of 25 and a low of 17, clear skies dominating the province. Friday eases a touch, high 22 and low 15, still dry and bright. Saturday mirrors Friday's pattern, another high of 22 and low 15, offering a solid stretch of sunshine for outdoor plans. Sunday brightens slightly, reaching a high of 24 and a low of 17, with mostly clear conditions and only a whisper of cloud near the lake. Monday introduces a shift. The ridge retreats, allowing a moist southerly flow that brings a 45% chance of rain, while temperatures hold at a high of 25 and a low of 18. The weekend's temperature swing stays modest, but the Monday chance marks the first precipitation window in the coming days. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll break down today's traffic snarls, dive into the Canadians' prospects ranking, and spotlight Good Food's creditor protection move. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Two tunnel closures are snarling downtown traffic this morning. In Tunnel Viger, the span between Rue Panet and Exit 5 at Boulevard Robert Bourassa is fully shut, forcing drivers onto Rue St. Laurent and the adjacent autoroute network. Expect backups of 20 minutes on Rue St. Laurent eastbound and on autoroute Ville Marie near Exit 5, where the closure funnels extra volume onto surface streets. The second major incident is the closure of Tunnel Ville Marie between Boulevards Robert Bourassa and St. Laurent. That blockage pushes traffic onto Rue St. Laurent, Rue Peel and nearby avenues, creating delays of 15 to 20 minutes. A minor roadwork project continues on autoroute Ville Marie at Exit 5, access to Rue Mansfield, but the lane reduction adds only a few minutes. All other routes, including the expressway network and downtown arteries, remain clear. Afternoon commuters should anticipate lingering congestion near the tunnel exits and consider alternatives such as Boulevard St. Laurent or the east-west corridor along Rue Sherbrooke.
MUTEK turns Montreal into the epicenter of electronic music and digital art, running from August 25 through 30 across the city. The 27th edition packs immersive installations, live sets and surprise collaborations, perfect for anyone craving cutting-edge culture. Tonight and into the early morning, Montreal offers a partial solar eclipse paired with the Perseid meteor shower. Look to the sky for a fleeting glimpse of the sun's silhouette and a cascade of shooting stars, and remember to use proper eye protection. It's a rare celestial show you won't want to miss. For a more grounded taste, head to Time Out Market where Les Grands Boys pours a crisp Pilsner, a hazy NEIPA, and a bright Belgian wit beer. These craft brews complement the market's bustling food scene and give you a flavorful pause in the afternoon. And if you're still hungry for flavor, Tavola Italiana now serves a fresh celebration of Italian dishes and wine, inviting friends to gather around the table. And now here's Jason with sports.
The Habs' future takes shape as prospects shine and veterans chase camp spots. Right-shot defenseman Bryce Pickford exploded with 45 goals and 83 points in 55 games for the Medicine Hat Tigers, becoming the sole blue liner among the CHL's top 10 goal scorers. His offensive burst forces the Montreal Canadiens to consider him for a top 4 role and adds firepower to a rebuilding blue line. Alex Newhook enters camp eager to translate his playoff production into a permanent roster spot, while Brendan Gallagher, now a father of 2, chose to remain in Montreal Canadiens despite a trade to Vancouver, underscoring his commitment. The battle for the 6th forward slot tightens, promising a fierce contest for depth. Florian Exhekad's gritty reputation earned a new dimension after netting 24 goals in his Laval Rocket rookie year, and following up with 17 goals and 12 assists this season. His blend of physicality and scoring makes him a strong candidate for a top 6 forward role with the Montreal Canadiens. Keep an eye on those prospects as the Habs shape next season.
Thanks, Jason. Good Food, headquartered in the heart of downtown Montreal, is a household name for families looking for fresh, pre-portioned meals delivered to their door. The company, which has built a loyal following across the city, announced this week that it has entered creditor protection to restructure its finances and keep the business running. After a brief tenure of less than 6 months, the CEO stepped down amid warnings about the firm's outlook. The court-approved plan is designed to stabilize operations and safeguard the dozens of jobs that support local farms, delivery drivers, and kitchen staff. Good Food matters to Montreal because it connects neighborhoods to the province's growers, keeping our food culture vibrant even in tough times. Stay tuned for the latest on the ground crew worker in critical condition after a plane collision and the mayor's farmhouse debate. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. The World Press Photo Exhibit opens today in historic Old Montreal, showcasing 150 prize-winning images that capture pivotal moments from around the globe. Viewers can walk through Marché Bonsecours and experience the power of photojournalism up close. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing inside the vaulted stone hall of Marché Bonsecours, the air humming with the soft click of camera shutters and the murmur of curious visitors. Sunlight streams through the high arched windows, painting the polished brass railings gold as I walk past the first display, a stark black and white portrait of a child clutching a tattered flag in a war-torn village. Around me, the exhibit showcases 150 prize-winning photographs, each framed in sleek matte black, each telling a moment of triumph, tragedy, or quiet resilience from corners of the globe. Curators in crisp white shirts stand beside the walls, ready to field questions, while a handful of photographers linger, eyes scanning the crowd, eager to hear reactions to their work. The scent of fresh baguettes from the market below mixes with the faint ozone of flash bulbs, grounding this international story in the historic pulse of Old Montreal. These images remind us that behind every headline lies a face, a story, a heartbeat. Carl Dumont, virtually at Marché Bonsecours. Welcome back. A ground crew member was critically injured after an aircraft struck them during operations at a Montreal airport on August 25th. Police are forwarding the investigation to the Provincial Workplace Safety Commission. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
At the airport on August 25th, a ground crew member was hit by an aircraft during routine operations. Emergency crews rushed the worker to hospital where he remains in critical condition. Montreal police have taken initial statements and are now moving the investigation to the Provincial Commission on Standards, Equity, Health and Safety at Work for a full review. The incident follows the standard protocol of police involvement before a safety commission examines workplace accidents at Montreal's air facilities. Officials said the transfer ensures a thorough assessment of procedures and compliance. No further details on the flight or the exact location within the airport have been released at this time. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. Mayor Jean-Claude Dubois faces a heated town debate over saving an 18th-century West Island farmhouse, with residents split between costly restoration and safety concerns. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Residents gathered outside the crumbling stone farmhouse on the edge of West Island, debating whether to spend public funds on a full restoration of the 18th-century structure. Some neighbors argue the building is beyond repair, and the cost would outweigh any benefit, while the mayor, standing beside the deteriorating walls, warned that leaving it untouched could turn the ruin into a safety hazard for pedestrians and nearby homes. The council is set to vote next week, with both sides presenting estimates that run into the tens of thousands of dollars. Community members voiced personal memories of the site, and the mayor pledged to seek provincial assistance if the decision leans toward preservation. The farmhouse remains a focal point of heated discussion among locals. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, West Island.
Dolly Rebecca Parton, 80, died on August 25, 2026. She rose from humble beginnings to become a worldwide country music icon, selling over 100 million records and earning 11 Grammy Awards. A prolific songwriter, she penned more than 3,000 tunes, among them Coat of Many Colors, Jolene, and I Will Always Love You, and she brought that same spark to the screen in films like 9 to 5. Beyond the stage, she founded the Imagination Library, gifting more than 300 million books to children and turning literacy into a lifelong celebration. Her generosity extended to disaster relief, scholarships, and support for fellow musicians, reinforcing the belief that success is meant to be shared. She will be missed by every voice that sang along. Thanks for joining us, Montreal. Today's highlight was the mayor laying out the city's priorities as the election approaches, a clear look at what's next for us. Stay tuned for tomorrow's lunch break, where we'll bring you more of the stories that matter. See you then.